It's me again. Welcome to Tea Time. My name is Dr. Tonie Anderson-Steele, and we run this show just so we can be educated and sometimes entertained. And so, right beside me, we have our guest today, Michael Diggs, and he has this wonderful profession, a lot of professional skills as it relates to bees. And so, we want to know about that because we don't know how important bees are to our environment. So we need to understand this today. And we have the top number one Northwest Florida beekeeper right here. I purchased things from him as well, but let him tell his story. First of all, Mr. Diggs, welcome to the show. Are you doing okay this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I am doing well, doing well. And do you mind if I call you by your first name, which is what I do anyway?
Yes,
Yeah.
please
Okay.
continue.
This is Michael, and we are friends. And I'm able to purchase some of his products that he's going to tell you about in just a little bit. But tell us just a little bit about yourself, Michael.
Okay, well, my father was in the Navy, and he kind of settled down in this area, and I've lived up in North Florida for a lot of years now. Went away, moved back to town,
Hmm.
and I started working at the library,
Hmm.
uh, West Florida Public Library System. I'm
Hmm.
not going to talk about I'm not going to talk about my library job today, but I do work in the library. And at one of the locations in Molino, they had a bee club meeting. And after sitting through several meetings and a couple of conventions, I kind of took that on as a hobby, and it's been very rewarding.
No doubt. So let's start out first with this question. We don't know what you know. So I'm going to start out based on what I want to understand. And when you answer, all of us will then understand how important is it to the bee life and our growth of a garden.
Okay, well, the bees that we raise, there's hundreds of different varieties of bees.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Basically, they pollinate all your flowers. If bees disappeared from the planet,
Mm-hmm.
we would starve
We
because
will.
yeah, we would starve because
Huh?
the plants wouldn't get pollinated, the crops wouldn't grow.
Oh
Just
my.
about every aspect of any type of feeding requires some kind of pollination, and that's why there's so many bees and flies and wasps and butterflies, and a lot of them do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them do things better.
Right.
Bees are one of the ones that the bees that we have today are here today are European bees.
European
Um,
bee.
they have they have different varieties. They were brought over, um, and they got them because they're more docile
Hmm.
than some of the other bees. If you listen to beekeepers, they'll talk about Africanized bees being a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
When you disturb the nest, they'll chase after you,
Mm-hmm.
and it won't just be one or two. It'll be a big cloud coming after you.
Really?
European bees, they'll just send a couple dozen. So
Mm-hmm.
they're a little bit more peaceful as long as they don't think you're trying to steal their food,
So let
which
me
is
understand
which
this.
is honey.
Yeah. Okay. So now that generated a question, but I'm asked this. So the African bees are very aggressive if you disturb them. But the
Yes,
European bees will only send out a few, I'm going to use this terminology, security guards to observe. And then as long as you don't bother their honey, all is well. Uh, so how is there a way to distinguish between an African bee and a European bee?
there is really, unless you're a scientist and you have a microscope,
Mm-hmm.
the common beekeeper, what they do is they just check for how aggressive a response they get when they open up the hive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you'll have some if they'll come after you by the dozens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're just more aggressive in how they attack you.
Mm-hmm.
The other bees are attacking you as well.
Yes.
You're interrupting into their hive, into their home.
Hmm.
Somebody's breaking into your home, you're going to respond.
That's right.
So it's just the number of bees that come after you if you're in an Africanized hive,
Hmm.
and they're responsible for. They're just more aggressive to anybody who walks nearby. They've been known to like attack picnickers or something like that.
Hmm.
Somebody that's nearby who's
Hmm.
not doing anything. You
Hmm.
just happen to be unfortunate one to be there.
I see. I see. So the bees, they uh, only your European bees stay together and they don't mix with the African bees.
No, they actually they do mix with the African bees, and it can turn your entire hive kind of different
Hmm.
in how aggressive they are. And when
Hmm.
they find out, when they think it's too aggressive,
Hmm.
sometimes they go in and they replace your queen because she's the one that's laying all the eggs,
Hmm.
and they replace her to get, um, more. These bees have been bred
Hmm.
to be more docile.
Hmm. So that important message that you gave us, that if we did not have bees, we would starve because
Yes.
of their process of pollinating all of the flowers and the vegetables and whatever, all those things. So, how does a bee pollinate a tomato plant or a beautiful flower? What's the pollination process?
Well, simply when they're traveling from flower to flower to flower,
Mm-hmm.
as they're collecting pollen for what they're going to use in the hive,
Mm-hmm.
it's rubbing up against them. They're collected on little bags on their legs,
Mm-hmm.
um, and when they go to the next flower, they're taking some of that with them to the
Mm-hmm.
next one,
Mm-hmm.
going from flower to flower to flower,
Mm-hmm.
and it's getting on their body. It's getting on their body. It's
Mm-hmm.
getting on their legs, and it's just carrying it along the way. So it's almost incidentally
Mm-hmm.
pollinating the next flower down the street because of what you're doing.
Okay. And that's the same thing they do for tomato plant, cucumber, or whatever. Just touch it
Yes.
to get what they need from that flower.
Yep. They're just carrying it around. It's like a pathogen almost.
So
Just
are they
carrying it around.
as they're carrying it around what they got from each flower or
Yep.
plant? Oh, okay.
They're getting it from one. There'll be a cucumber plant down the road, and they're getting in the flowers. They're taking all the pollen together, and they're
Hmm.
just carrying it down the road and getting to the next flower. And
Oh, well, that is wonderful. So we need to try not to kill a bee. I mean, right?
not to. They've passed very strict laws on pesticides and things like that. That might because
Hmm.
they know what.
How many bees are produced monthly or yearly or however it works? I mean, are they?
Well, inside the hive, there
Mhm.
can be, I guess, 50 to 80,000 bees. The queen can lay 2,000 eggs a day.
2,000 eggs a day?
2,000 eggs a day. She goes on when she first arrives, she goes on a mating flight,
Mm-hmm.
and then she's like a homing pigeon. She comes back to where she started. She
Mm-hmm.
goes back in there, and then she stays in there for the rest of her life, basically. She can lay during the summer when there's lots of flowers. She
Mm-hmm.
needs more workers.
Mm-hmm.
She lays more eggs, and when the winter time,
Mm-hmm.
there's less flowers, there's less food to go around,
Mm-hmm.
less resources. She lays fewer eggs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so reproduction is great. The total is
Yes.
do all of those 2,000 eggs are they in danger ever of not uh, coming to life?
Well,
Not.
usually a small percentage are in danger.
Mhm.
Um, one of the big problems the beekeepers have are um, hive beetles, these little tiny black beetles.
Mhm.
They get in there. They're pests inside the hive.
Mhm.
They're also from overseas. They're Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
an invasive species.
Mm-hmm.
The bees have learned to herd them like cows.
Right. Oh,
The bees, because they'll once they get inside, they'll take care of what's inside their hive.
okay.
They'll herd them into a corner,
Mm-hmm.
keep them there indefinitely. Usually, one of the first things you see when you inspect the hive, open it up,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll see a little ball of beetles all together.
Oh my.
And, what we do is we just smash them
Mm, oh my.
when we can, but the bees have them all up in the corner, keep
Mm.
them away from everything. The other pest that we have is mites.
Okay.
So that's the one thing you have to treat the bees. They can herd the beetles because they can see them, but the
Mm-hmm.
mites are so small,
Right.
they're pretty hard to get off you,
Right. Right.
and they can't really see them. So we treat them several times a year
Mm-hmm.
for mites, and that keeps the hive healthy. Treat them
Mm-hmm.
for mites, and they can take care of anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You see the giant hornets that come around.
Mm-hmm.
They might eat a few, but
Yes, they're
they're
pretty.
not going to eat 2,000 bees.
They're scary looking though. Yeah.
They are scary looking. They have ways that they take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they have defensive things that they do,
Okay.
keeps them aside. But yeah,
All right. So how large is your uh, bee field? Your beekeeping, where you store your bees at? How large
my
is it?
my apiary is
What is it called?
it's an apiary.
Apiary?
Yeah, apiary,
Apiary. Okay.
and it depends on where I have. I have some bees down the street.
Mm-hmm.
I have about 5 or 6 hives in the
Mm-hmm.
field, and I have some bees in the backyard, and just a couple there. And at different points in time, I have a site on the lake. I have another field somewhere else. I
Mm-hmm.
try to keep them away because when you have different problems that make your bees sick,
Mm-hmm.
you want to keep them apart
Right.
from one another. So you
Separated.
can, yeah, you can treat one
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
not have another. Another thing that they do is that we have is wax moths. Um, Wax moths come in at night.
Mm-hmm.
They sneak in. They
Mm-hmm.
love to lay eggs inside your wax
Really?
that the bees make.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever seen the webbed trees that have a bunch of caterpillars
Yes,
up in the
I've seen
tree,
it. Mm-hmm.
they do that inside the hive.
Mm.
So it's all webby and gummy.
Mm-hmm.
So if the bees are strong enough, they can kick the wax moths out. They can keep them out.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not,
Mm-hmm.
if they're
They,
not strong enough, that it'll just be all gummy, and
oh
I'll
my.
have to just destroy the whole hive.
Right.
And that kind of thing can spread to the next one.
I see. So how many bees are in a hive
Uh,
generally?
Generally, about from 50 to 80,000. It depends on what time of the year.
Oh
At
my.
at the peak, when I have the most, she's
Mm-hmm.
laying the most eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she gets, she makes more room. That's one of the reasons the bees kind of swarm. If they run out of room, you got
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that they have more room.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Um, when they get too full, you put on a new box on top of them, and it expands where their living space is and everything. And
Yeah.
during the winter, there's fewer food. So most of the bees are female, and the first thing they do is they kill all the males.
Oh my. Why?
Uh, less mouths to feed. The males don't do anything.
They
You
don't.
know,
They're not even worker bees. The
I'm
male.
I'm I'm ashamed to say that the males don't do anything. They don't.
You know I'm proud. You know I'm proud to hear what the females in charge, right?
Yeah, the
But
females in
I am
charge. Males don't do anything.
so
They they
sorry that
they show up.
you had to say that. But thank you. I'm not gonna add to that. I'm gonna leave it right where you left it. But
Yeah, they just show up to eat.
I
So
am proud.
that's the first thing they do is they kick them out and kill them.
Oh
And
my, because you gotta make sure they survive.
yeah,
And
and
since you're
then
not
she
doing anything over there, just
exactly.
looking at me working, okay, bye bye. And
Yeah,
so That's hilarious. But we live and learn, and God created everybody for a purpose, right? And I
It's true.
always say, in my mind, I always say that the ants and the bees and all his creations of his animals, they live the life that he created for them. They live in it well. They always follow the same patterns and do what they've been designed to do. Human beings, on the other hand, we do everything, and we sometimes get off track from what we're supposed to be doing, as the Lord God Almighty created us in His image and had this idea that we should do this, this, and this, and we forget sometime. So, kudos to the bees and all of the other creatures that know how to do what God designed them to do, and they never fail at that. Of course, there's interference in all of our lives, and in the bees and the insects and things like that, and other creatures, but they know how to survive on any path because they always zone in and doing exactly what they were designed to do. So, uh, are guests allowed to visit where your bees are, just being curious like I am, to want to know more, to see the activity between the bees and the honey? And do bees eat some of the honey, or they just produce honey?
They produce honey. That is their food.
Mm-hmm.
They do two things. They make a bee bread.
They do.
Um, yeah, and they feed that to the kids, and then
Really?
they have honey, and that's the carbs, and then they have the sugar
Mm-hmm.
is the honey because it's pure sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So they eat both, but the honey is what we get. I don't ever take all of it. I take a little bit of it so that they can survive throughout the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And so during the winter, they're just sort of dormant. They just stay in their
They
hives.
they stay in their hives. They have honey stored up in there for food.
Hmm.
Their numbers are low. They don't. She doesn't lay too many eggs.
Hmm.
And, yeah, and they stay. They can stay through some of the harshest winters. They
Really?
know how to get together and they generate like body heat and they get in little balls
Hmm.
and they can get through really harsh winter. Florida is nothing. They can live up north too in the
Okay.
snow and do that.
Okay. So we all know about the honeycomb, not the cereal, y'all, not the cereal, but we know about the honeycomb. So what happens to the honeycomb? Is that where they just continue just to produce the honey in the honeycomb, or do you ever have to take it out so that they can build a new honeycomb? I'm sorry if that sounds a little off, but that's the best way I
No,
can describe it.
no. They actually use the honeycomb again and again. It's reusable.
Hmm.
Um, they make honey in the form of little cups,
Hmm.
and what they do is they take the nectar. They're collecting nectar. I said they're collecting pollen before, but they're collecting nectar,
Hmm.
and they put it in the little cups. The
Hmm.
pollen that they have on their bags, they also collect the pollen for their bee bread,
Hmm.
and then they're out there and it's spreading around as they're
Hmm.
collecting both.
Hmm.
They put the nectar in the little cups, and then they flap their wings
Hmm.
collectively,
Hmm.
and the moisture that's in the nectar
Hmm.
dries out and it turns into honey
Oh.
after a period of time. As soon as it gets to a certain level, the
Hmm.
moisture gets out, then they seal it back up, seal up the top of their cup with
Hmm.
enough more wax,
Hmm.
and it's trapped in there. And then they just break in there when they need to eat it.
Hmm.
And what we do is we take the entire frame of wax, all the
Hmm.
little wax cups,
Hmm.
and we puncture holes in all of them,
Hmm.
and then we put them in a kind of like a medical centrifuge, and
Hmm.
spin it around, and
Hmm.
all the honey comes out.
Comes out.
That's how we get to it. Now there's still perfect wax with a little tiny hole in it. We put it back in the hive and let them reuse it,
Hmm.
and they'll fill the cup up again with
Hmm.
nectar, and
Hmm.
they'll seal it back up, and we'll just repeat the process until we have enough
Hmm.
honey.
Well, now I've known you a number of years. I'm not going to put a number on it, but a number of years, and I have purchased honey from you several times. So, is your honey always available as the
No,
bee?
no, it's not always available right now. It's this is the first time I've been in a business where it matters how much you produce versus. People talk about sales and advertising, and I sell 100% of everything that I make.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of, will my employees, the bees, be able to produce it?
Okay.
And it really depends on the weather.
Mm-hmm.
The weather, when you have the weather and the weather's good and you have flowers
Mm-hmm.
available, you were able to produce it. The
Mm-hmm.
last couple of years, I only harvest in July. So the last couple of years, haven't been able to do very much. Looking for a good year next July.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're always looking to do better.
Mm-hmm.
So no honey available at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you want to come and visit, you can come and visit me anytime. We'll try to work something out. I'll try to explain the inner workings. I'm trying to teach a class on basic beekeeping, but all that involves us just sitting in the classroom,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just trying to show you the steps of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's so many little tiny details.
I understand.
Then we have to find a suit for you.
Mm-hmm.
Get
Oh yeah.
something that's properly fit.
Right. Right.
Can't just go out there unless you're
Oh,
suited, because you'll get stung. They
right.
they sting me when I'm properly suited. So
Do
they're
you
definitely going to get you.
do you think they know who you are though? I'm just asking. You know how
I don't know if they. I don't think they know what they are. They know that somebody's disturbing their hive,
I
and
see.
then there's somebody walking by that's nearby,
I
and they
see.
come after you. And one of the things they do is they attack black skin.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is they think you're a bear.
Oh no, because bear
So they come.
is like honey, right?
Yeah, they go after certain odors. You don't consume bananas before
Mm-hmm.
you beekeep. You don't. They're attracted to carbon dioxide when you're breathing out.
Mm-hmm.
They're attracted to the smell of bananas because they communicate through signals and dances and things like that.
Have you
Uh,
seen those dances? Have
yes, they
you?
do. They do the little waggle dance when they find food. When they
What a
find
lovely
food,
recording. You need to record that for us so we can see that dance. We might learn something.
and
Uh, so I think the name of your business is Wildflower, right?
the Dig Apiaries is the name of the business.
Okay.
The Wildflower is just a brand of honey,
Okay, I
and
see.
because they're, which honey, which flower does the honey come from?
Mm-hmm.
All of them. They're just
Yes.
wildflowers.
Yes.
Now, somebody who plants a field of clover
Mm-hmm.
next door, they can say that their honey is clover,
Mm-hmm.
because all the flowers for an acre are
Mm-hmm.
nothing but clover.
I got it.
So,
You use the term wildflower because
yes,
they be all over the place
yeah,
uh, doing that. Well,
exactly.
that is so sweet. Now,
So, Molino
your
Gold is the Molino Gold is my brand name, though.
Molina Gold.
Yes,
Okay, and it's lovely honey. Honey is better for us than the sugar that's produced. So, uh, whenever it's available. I know you've been around the city and in your area, even down here, selling it, all size jars, and it's a good purchase. Let me let you know it's a good purchase. And so, do you have any last words for us as we're trying to understand? And it's very interesting, very, very interesting, your information. Any last minute words as to what you'd like the audience to know?
sure. That climate change is real. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
our weather patterns affect everything that happens,
Mm-hmm.
and if we can't protect the insects and the birds and the bees and our environment, we're not going to be around for very long. So
Oh, fine. Oh,
they'll survive, but we need them to
mm-hmm.
prosper.
To
So
survive. We need
yeah,
them to survive, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. That is so great. So I want to thank you for being on the show. Thank you for the information. And so uh, for myself, and you know this already about me, I've always wanted to come out. So we're going to have to get my suit. Let me ask you, can I order it on Amazon?
you need to go to. There's a company called Man Lake.
Man Lake. Hmm.
It's a bee supply company. You need to go, and you can find one on Amazon.
Okay. All right.
Some good
So,
ones. You got to make sure you get the right dimensions and everything is proper.
okay. So they cover you from the crown of your head down to the sole of your feet, right?
Absolutely, just like God. Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Great protection. So, anyway, thank you for joining us, and I appreciate you. And I think we're going to have to do this again as the bees do their little dance and show us more about what they're doing. As a matter of fact, I don't know if it's possible, but we might want to think about being by a hive, you suited up and showing us that little dance and that little process that you know so well and we don't. It is delightful to get the information that we got this morning and that we're receiving. And I'm always thinking about our young people, because I don't know at my age, we need to spread it around so to grow in the generation, so we'll see just how important this is for us as we go forward. So I have an announcement, and then we're going to end the show in just a moment. My announcement is don't forget to that we air this show, Michael, this show will be GMAP at 7 Central, and that we have a corporate prayer every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. So please join us then. Uh, you should know that prayer changes things, and you should know that there is the Creator, and that's who we need to talk to more. To make things happen in our life and even to stop some things from happening in our life that don't benefit us. And so, thank you so much for joining us. And if you will just stay on the show as we exit out. I'm gonna do your favorite thing for you because that's the way my heart is, and we're gonna keep living. We're gonna keep loving. We're gonna keep laughing and loving. Okay. So thank you for joining us, and I wish you well. This is Happy Sabbath Day. And so recognize it as a day of rest. I know some of us can't do that, because a hard thing, because we got so many things to do in life, but this is a Sabbath day. And so rejoice in it and rejoice in living and loving. And I must say again that I'm available from Saturday to Saturday. Saturday is not my only day, that we want to give out information and that we want to share and that we want to elevate and manifest things into your life as well as mine and everyone else's. That's the only way that we're going to succeed and be successful. If you sit like a knot on a log, that's what you continue to do, is sit like a knot on a log. And we don't want anyone to do that. So until next time, thank you for joining us. Y'all have a good day. Happy Sabbath. Bye bye.
Uh,